Hello and welcome. Today we are making Ghana disability friendly. Now I'm sure you've all heard of the riddle, what walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon and 3 in the evening? The answer, of course, is a man. That's the normal scheme of things, but accidents happen. And sometimes the way we walk changes. You see, we are all physically disabled at one time in our lives. A child, a person with a broken leg or short-sightedness, a parent pushing a baby in a pram, an elderly person with hearing problems or any other age's blessings, etc. are all disabled in one way or the other. Those who remain healthy, able-bodied all their lives are very few. And with that in mind, it's curious how we build our lives, society and environment as though it's meant to be an obstacle course for mankind. It's important that our environment be barrier-free and adapted to fulfill the needs of all people equally. As a matter of fact, the needs of the disabled coincide with the needs of the majority, and all people are at ease with them. As such, planning for the majority implies planning for people with various abilities and disability. Is Ghana up to this task? And would it just be an infrastructural problem, or it's an entire way of life about to change? My name is Nana Ansakwa, and this is PM Express. When I come back, I will introduce my guest. Persons with disability, and that's the cause we are going to champion. How are we going to do that? We are going to make Ghana disability friendly. Indeed, it is my personal belief, and I don't know, maybe it's general, that to really find out if people are developed or if a country is developed, it's how that country adapts itself to suit persons with disability in all forms. All the high-rise in airports and cantonments and all the big cars you see in the roads is just a facade. If the country is truly developed, how are blind people being cared for? How are people who have to use sticks to walk being catered for? Do they have lifts? Do they have ramps? And that's what the level of development of any nation is. So you look around us, and for everyone that you miss, it tells you how far behind we are in civilization. And this is a matter very dear to my heart. Now, once upon a time, I was on the streets of London, and I never noticed it. But on all the pavement, just before you step onto the road, there are dots on the slabs. And anytime the pavement ends, there were dots on the slabs. And, for a long time, I never paid attention to it. My idea was that is to stop you from slipping into the road. No, that's how blind people know that they've come to the end of the pavement and that they are stepping onto the road. Did you know that? I didn't know. Today we're going to find out why such a simple thing. It's just a normal pavement, but it's just got stats on it. So people who are visually impaired can just tell that they've come to the end of the road. How difficult is that? With me to talk about these things and more, to my immediate left is Ni Ananokan, instructor for Hope for the Disabled. Ni, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good. And then my own brother Isaac Tongan, who's the Ghana Federation for the Disabled and National Advocacy Officer. Very, I like him because he's a champion in the cause, but today I'm sure he's going to go all out because my viewers have heard this thing over and over and over and over and over again. And so we need to do something different to at least get the heat up a bit. But on the 3rd of December is International Day for Persons with Disability. What's Ghana doing? It's the 3rd of December, that's the date, yeah? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For the opportunity. Since 1992, the United Nations has set aside 3rd December as a day for the commemoration of persons with disability. And that day, the observance of that day had, I think, 3 major objectives. One is to increase understanding of disability worldwide. Another one is to mobilize support from people for the dignity and the right of person with disability. And the third one is to sort of accelerate all processes regarding the inclusion of persons with disability in society. Now, over the years, Ghana Federation of the Disabled has always celebrated the day. We have not, I don't remember any national celebration or observance of the day. But the disability movement in the country, led by Ghana Federation of the Disabled, normally do. This year, we are having the celebration in Cape Coast, Nat Hall. There will be a float, and there will be a speech by the president of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled. The Honorable Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection is also invited to deliver the keynote address. We also have the First Deputy Speaker, Honorable Barton Odro. He's also invited. We have about four other MPs invited, including the MCE at Cape Coast and one DCE. The regional ministers will also be there. These are the people that we've invited, including Nana Osa Berimba. Yeah.
The Cape Coast chief?
Omahini of Ogwa.
Okay.
Is also invited, according to the list that I had. So, if you see the theme for the celebration this year, it hinges on technology. The UN theme is sustainable development, the promise of technology. And as we know, since creation of man, technology has always impacted in the way people live, the way people work, and the way they play. Today, we are in a technological revolution, and we all know that the way we work has changed. There is a lot of connectivity between individual and between and among individuals. There is a lot of connectivity between businesses. And all these have impacted in a way to sort of improve the living standard of people. But there is a but in the sense that it is not everybody who can afford or have access to the benefit of technology. If you take person with disability, worldwide there are over 1 billion. And that is the largest minority group in the world. Most of them are not able to have access to the benefit of technology. So I think the reason behind the team, which is centers on technology, will be to sort of harness the power of technology for full inclusion and equal participation of persons with disability in society. That is in the political, economic, and cultural life. And that is the reasoning behind the UN team. Ghana has also localized the team to suit our environment. And our team is making Ghana accessible to persons with disability, concern for all. It is not Ghana Federation of the Disabled only. It is a concern for all. That means the entire nation. That is the local team that we are using to celebrate. And it is not all that far away from the international team, if you look at it. Because if you look at to have a free Ghana, a barrier-free Ghana, Ghana to be accessible to persons with disability, we must look at certain areas. Even the technological wise, you realize that up to date, we do not have enough, we do not even have any meaningful assistive technology in the country for a person with disability. You see, RAG trained person with disability in ICT. They were not able to include the visually impaired. But the assistive technology exists in the world. If we had had it, the person with visual impairment would have been part of the training and would have benefited. But because we do not have it in the country, then it's a barrier to the visually impaired. As we sit today, we'll talk. There is no place where they manufacture motorized wheelchairs, except manual. And we have the Kantaka group, which are manufacturing cars, which the government could have taken advantage of to let them manufacture motorized wheelchairs for a person with disability. All this will improve the mobility. All this will, the other aspect of the assistive technology I was talking about, will improve the way visually impaired will work, the way they will access information, the way they will communicate, and all those things. But as we see today, we do not have these things. In 21st century, in the world, where the whole world is IT. So that is one thing. When you look at it, again, we have what we call the pro-disability legislation and policies. For example, the Person with Disability Act 715. We have the National Disability Policy of 2000. And we have the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Article 29 of the 1992 Constitution is supposed to talk about persons with disability. So we have quite a number of policies and legislation. If they were implemented, some of these things we are talking about today wouldn't have been there. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it critically, you realize that there are the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, which Ghana ratified in 2012, has spelled out clearly or require parties, state parties to the convention, Article 4B, to harmonize their domestic legislation with the international law, which is the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, especially the person with disability legislation. Mm-hmm. When you compare that one with our Act 715, you see that our Act has fallen short a lot. The definition of person with disability is a problem. We mentioned person with disability is somebody with visual, physical, and sensory, mental disability. We give rise to barriers which impede the major function or one of the functions of the person with disability. The UN Convention has already anticipated that disability is an evolving concept. So it has given room for other disability to be rolled in, mm-hmm. like obesity and other things. They are albinism and all those things. Okay. So the definition started, person with disability include, wow. and not is. So if you look at our definition, whatever is not mentioned there cannot be legally admitted as wow. a disability. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, the UN Convention is very explicit about political participation, about women with disability, about children with disability, about disaster management with regard to disability. All these things are not in our Act. You see.
I will come back to you, but let me find out what Hope for Disabled. More hope for disabled. Wow, even better. More hope for the disabled. What are you doing for the event?
It is only thank you very much. Mm-hmm. It is only last Friday I heard of this program. Since the formation of this More Hope for Disabled, we've not even heard of this Disability Day. It is only last Friday I get to know there is a program for people with disability, and that day falls on 3rd December. So we don't have any program for that.
You haven't planned?
Yes.
You haven't planned?
Yes. It is only today that the executive is meeting mm-hmm. around 5:30 today. Then we plan how to mobilize our people so that we also take part in the program.
Well, I'm sure by all means you have to represent in Cape Coast. Even though it's short notice, yes. You need to represent in Cape Coast, and because we need more voices to champion this cause and make things different. I mean, nothing has changed, so I don't know what else to ask you, but I mean, have you seen any initiative from state, in terms of helping persons with disability? They say, oh, as for A, B, C, D, I can feel some slight changes there.
It was in 2012 that we heard of the government initiatives on this common fund, disability fund, the 2% of the common fund. But up to now, we are having people, number of people within our organization were about 70, between 75, 80. Only 11 of the people have been helped. And the reason why we name our organization More Hope for Disabled Foundation, we want to eliminate everybody who is physically challenged from the streets. Because in Ghana, most of the physically challenged people, what they only do is they go on the streets in begging. And we, within More Hope, don't like that. So we have developed a center whereby, that's why I told you I'm the instructor. We've got a tailors, training those who want to do dressmaking. We've got people making shoes, all type of leather shoes. We've got people with ICT, training people on ICT. We are in these 3 categories. So any person with that disability that wants to train himself, to equip himself with these 3 fields I've chosen, is invited to the center.
And it's at Teshie?
It is at Teshie.
Train for free of charge or?
Free of charge.
I see. Let me come back to Isaac. Isaac, you were talking about women.
Yeah.
That's where you got, and I stopped your flow. So I'll let you to continue. You were raising a point about helping women with disability, or?
No, I was making comparative analysis between our Act 715 and the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability.
How there's...
Yes,
you know,
so I said the convention has provision for women with disability. You know, it is a fact that women with disability suffer double. As women, they are among the marginalized group. And also with disability, they have another marginalization to suffer in addition. So they suffer double, women with disability. And we think that the UN Convention, the framers of the convention, have thought deeply and come out with provision that must cater for women with disability specifically. They also thought deeply about children with disability. The needs vary. Needs of person with disability vary. So they have got these various provision for the children and the women. We don't have those in the Act, in our Act. When you look at it, in case of natural disaster, we don't have anything. How they will manage, how they account for a person with disability, we don't have that. Wow. And then even when some of them survive, and they give everybody a blanket, and then give you a small bag of rice and oil, and they say they have saved the life of the people. Now, the person crutches is gone, his caliper is gone, his wheelchair is gone, or his white cane is gone, or his glasses are gone, and you give him oil and a bag of rice. How will he survive? So we need to look beyond the oil and the bag of rice to see the specific need of person with disability in case of national disaster. We need to learn how do we carry out the evacuating of such people. What should we do with our environment before anything ever happens, so that we map out the strategies that will help to save person with disabilities. All these things you can find them in the UN Convention. We don't have them in our Act. And then when you look at it, the Section 6 of our Act talk about accessibility to public places. Section 7 talk about accessible services. And we also have the UN Convention, Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Article 9 is also talking about accessibility. But what is the problem? The problem is that we have not been able to implement the provision of our Act. For example, the National Council of Persons with Disabilities is set up to monitor the implementation of the provision of the Act. It is also supposed to propose bills for passage into law for the mainstreaming of persons with disability, and to evaluate and keep the activities of organization of persons with disability, and to keep a register on persons with disability. Now, the council is not staff. The council is not resource, since it was inaugurated in 2009. Just around 2012, its mandate expired and it was renewed. But when you go to the council secretariat, what do you have? You have the executive secretary and about 3 or 4 staff. It hasn't got the regional and district branches. How does such a council function, carry out a mandatory function? It is not there. And as the council work under the Ministry of Gender, which is already overloaded, then it then means that the mandate of the council to do any other thing ends at the entrance of the ministry. It cannot, the executive secretary cannot bypass the minister to go to other ministries to enforce, to make sure that they comply with the provision of the Act. That is why we have been advocating for the council to be converted into an authority, to give it the needed autonomy that it will need to actually carry out a mandatory function. This has not been done. We've done it for years. It has not been done. Now, when you look at Article 4B of the UN Convention, we talk about harmonization of domestic legislation with the international law. We have done a lot. The Ghana Federation of the Disabled, we were able to conduct what we call gap analysis, making comparison between the two acts. And then we've come back with the report. We submitted the report to the Ministry of Gender, and we also talk about the Gender Ministry at the UN high-level meeting in 2013, made it clear that government was willing to review the act. Up to date, we still have not seen any sign. And as the year has come to an end again, and no sign yet, even the implementation of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is a problem, because Article 33 called for the establishment of National Implementation and Monitoring Committee to be in charge of the implementation of the convention. That committee has not been set up. You see the problem. So we have the legislation, but how do we, the enforcement is the problem.
I'm going to take a break here and I'll come back to that, because that's one thing which, because I know in about a year and a few months' time, every public building and every building indeed, should have an access and be literally friendly for abled and disabled people. But are we even starting or tackling it? No. And then when I come back, I want to find out from Nii, in training, do you find that the girls are more challenged than the boys, and how is that possible? Stay tuned. Making Ghana disability friendly, and what a myriad of problems, and we haven't even started. All we've done is given speeches, assurances and speeches, and we need to start implementation. Probably we need to maybe break it up into 6 and just handle one at a time, but we'll get there by the end of this. But let me go to Nii, because Nii obviously trains persons with disability so that they can get handy. You don't stand at the traffic light, begging for change. But do you find the girls are more challenged in the training, or when it comes to training, it doesn't matter?
In our society, if I could say, women are more challenged within the physical sector. Because within our group, we are having about 50 women.
Okay.
Women and girls, about 50. The men constitute only about 25, 26 that way. So I could say there are more women in the sector.
Okay. But in terms of training, let's say you finish dressmaking, whatever it is, do you find the women find more challenge out there than the men do, or?
When they finish with their training, the men find it very easy in doing their jobs rather than the women, because we need people to support those we've trained. They need machines, knitting machines and industrial machines on their job. But because we don't have the money to buy all those equipments for them, so most of them find it very difficult. And the assembly, who is supposed to support in these ways, is lacking. It's not doing its job. Though they talk on radio, we are doing this, we are doing that, but they don't do it on the ground. To implement their programs, they don't do.
So if I came to do, let's say, dressmaking, how long is the course?
The duration is 2 years.
Okay. And then after, I need to find money to go and buy my own machine.
Yes. It is the assembly is supposed to help in that way, but they don't do. We've only managed to buy only two machines for some of our members.
And how are they doing?
They are up and doing. They are working.
I mean,
they don't rely on anybody. They are working on themselves.
And that's a challenge. I mean, 2 machines. I mean, if there's 80 people in the class and we only bought 2 machines, that's...
Those who have finished their training, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The organization is only able to supply 2 machines for its people because we are handicapped. We don't have the money to do. So we are appealing to the general public
to come and help.
Yes.
Before the show, remember to put your number out there. You never know. Maybe somebody, a good Samaritan, may be watching, and they would, have the machine to donate.
Secondly, I want to the place where you are going. I want to add something to it. As the program is coming on in Cape Coast, most of our challenges is transportation. Many a times, even for you, when you see a cripple within the group, we want to take taxi, even dropping. They don't have time for you. You say you are wasting your time. Some drivers, taxi drivers, they will tell you, my boot, I can't open it. Because while you are in wheelchair, when you join the car, you have to put your wheelchair behind. They will tell you their boots, because of they've put some cylinder and the rest, they don't take load in their boots. So we find it very, very difficult when we are traveling. Like this program my brother Isaac is talking about. How can we go? Even some of the government organizations, even for them to rent their cars to you, because we are disabled people, they don't mind us.
Is it because you want it for free or you pay for it?
We'll pay for. We've got about 3 people within Teshi. One is Mr. Boatin, one is Ajay Kulu with Obonu FM, and the other is Mr. Frederick. They have been helping a lot. It is only we most of the times rely on these 3 people I'm talking about.
I see.
And one Tanko at Akusumo.
I think Isaac wants to come in.
I just wanted to make a few comments on what you have said. First of all, it is not enough to train. If you train people and they have no way to fix themselves, you have a problem. And that is one of the issues that the Ghana Federation of the Disabled is raising about the training of persons with disability in ICT by RAG. We were told that after the training, some of them will be absorbed by the various assemblies. During the discussion of the project, when we were brought in the middle of that, we raised the issue and they said, we're talking about one child, one laptop issue. So these persons with disability training ICT will be employed as system administrators of DSIM. Some will also be employed at the various schools within the assemblies. Others will be at the education directorate, the health directorate, and other things, to take care of the ICT system at these places. And then the rest lab will be set up in businesses to assemble and repair mobile phones and laptops. Now, so far, I will not say it has not happened, but we have no record of these people being absorbed after the training. And those we know, personally know, after the training, they are there. They are not being absorbed anywhere. You understand what? So we've been talking to RAG. Let us sit down and see the training that is ongoing. Let us sit down and see what will be the outcome of that. Is it enough just to train and leave the person to go back and sit down? You understand? Mm-hmm. That is one thing. So I think it is not even a difficult thing for employment to be generated for person with disability. Let's take, for example, the dressmaking they are talking about. Government have free school uniform. Is that right? Yeah. They have various ministries which have Friday wears. Is there? Yeah. So if a government, after these people are trained, they set up a dressmaking industry somewhere, Ministry of Health, your Friday wear, send it to them. They will work. Now, free school uniform within each district, send it to them, and they work. They are collecting money. The money will be used to pay some of their salary and also for the running of the business. Mm-hmm. And even if for payment of taxes, the business should be able to pay tax. Mm. It's simple. Yeah. You understand? Even the initial capital was a loan. It should be able to pay off the loan from the generation of revenue there. You understand? Mm-hmm. But these are simple things that we can do. Now, when you look at our priorities, I don't want to sound bitter, but I think we have to be very direct.
It's important.
For example, if we can charter an aircraft and carry money, the amount of money that is used to charter the aircraft to go to Brazil, it could have done something. You understand what? It could have generated employment somewhere for personnel. But that is not the case. If we can get money to charter aircraft, and we cannot get money to cater for persons with disability employment. And when you look at, if it is entertainment, like you say, Miss Ghana, when lady will walk semi-naked on stage, there will be money. Mm-hmm. When it comes to disability issues, to generate employment and other things, there will be a problem. You understand? So you see our priorities are not right. That is how I am seeing it. You see. But I think if we had actually implemented the disability policies and other things and legislation, they would have been okay in a way. You talk about inaccessible transport. It's true, but when you look in the act, you're talking about accessible transport. Ghana Federation of the Disabled was part of a team that visited Brazil to assess accessible buses so that they'll be imported into the country. Since that trip, what has happened? I've gone outside a bit and I've seen some of these shuttles. They have ramps there. They lower it, wheelchair roll in, and then they raise it, and off it goes. You understand what I mean?
They leave a space where, as for wheelchair access, so you're not supposed to stand there. Whether there's a wheelchair or not, don't stand there.
Yeah. So now, what is wrong? We have all gone, majority of the people have gone out Our leadership has always been outside. Most of them are studying other cultures. They've seen the environment. They've seen how disability issues are handled. We come back to our country to be leaders, and the story is different. And we know it every day. We travel out, we see the environment, and we come back here, it is a different thing altogether. So you see that even, let me tell you, we build our roads. Payments are now meant for billboards. So if you're on wheelchair cell, the billboard on electricity pole is erected in the middle of the payment. You have to be risking your life among the vehicular traffic because you can't pass. Even if you try, there is a gutter there, you cannot cross. You see, now some of the payments are used as garages. They park cars on there. And then some are used for sale of cars. You go and see them on the pavement, and the cars are parked plenty, and they ride for sale, for sale. Now the police are seeing this. They don't say anything. So now, if a wheelchair user will have to meander in the moving vehicle, racing, that is a risk of his life and the risk of other people in the car. Somebody may try to dodge him and crash into another one. But we will look on concern. The police see it every day. But they will arrest somebody parking at the bus stop. But they will not go and tell the person selling the car on the payment, pick the car, the payment is not meant for sale of cars. It doesn't happen. You see the problem we have. Now, look at our built environment. By 2016, the 10-year moratorium will come to an end. The national standards for the construction of ramps and other things, other related accessibility part, is still not ready since 2006 to date. We don't have them in place, and we'll talk and talk and talk. And what we have now, those corporate organizations which do not want to fall foul with the law, and or which have goodwill, they are good corporate citizens. They don't want to fall foul with any law. And others have come from outside. They know that in their hometown, they normally have these things. They are putting out what they consider to be ramps, and which are not actually ramps. And we can't blame them because the standards are not there. They are stiff, very stiff, with very slippery surface. You understand? So if you try there, say, you slip and fall. You understand? And these things are being dotted around the country. At the end of the day, who is going to bear the cost of them being dismantled and reconstructed? That would be a problem. But how do we...
So you just draw my attention. There's no standard out there.
There is no standard.
The gradient, the
National Standard Authority will be in contact with them. But how do you prepare standards since 2006 up to date, and the standards are still not ready?
Wow.
I mean, you see the thing. So the goodwill, the willingness to actually comply with the provision of or implement the provision, it's not there. Otherwise, so by 2016, the 10-year moratorium will come to an end. What would other existing buildings have used to modify themselves to make the places accessible and available for you?
Everybody is going to have their own
standards. Their own standard.
And I have seen some of these ramps, and they are near enough cliffs.
Yes.
And how you go down there on the wheelchair, probably say Hail Mary, and then take your chances as you go down. I'm going to come straight back, and the conversation continues. Well, I don't know, in midstream, maybe I need to change the title now. Not making Ghana disabled friendly, because, I mean, it looks as if we haven't started, and even though we laugh about it, it's very, very serious, and I think it's an indictment on each and every single citizen. I mean, even if you were born today, by no fault of yours, you've been added to it. I mean, where do we go from here? Ni, if you end that for me, and then... Isaac raised a very important subject about the free school uniforms. Could you try and see if you can lobby and get some? Maybe not all. Just give me one for Teshi.
Thank you very much for going straight to this point. This point, we've invited our Honorable Member of Parliament. We've talked about this on so many occasions. Mr. Isaac talked about RLG, training people in ICT. That one, we've sent a letter there for them to invite some of our members, even to assess them whether the training we've given them is even enough to equip them. It didn't mind us. This free school uniform he was talking about, that too we've invited. Even we sent a letter. When we invited her, she didn't come, our Honorable Member of Parliament. So we sent her a letter to lobby for us so that those jobs will come to us. Even she has not even replied the letter, almost about 1 year now. So as
who did you send a letter to?
To the Honorable Member of Parliament.
For Teshi?
For Lejokuku.
Lejokuku. Okitidua.
Yes.
I'll follow you up myself. I'll follow you up myself.
Talking about transport, we've also sent...
Can I get a copy of the letter you sent to her? Is it possible?
Yes.
So I'll follow you up on your behalf?
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. And find out why she hasn't responded.
Talking about transport, we've given her a letter, even to our sisters, because I mentioned one, Mr. Boatin, who sometimes assists us. She said we should see her so that she lobby for us to even get some of these harbor ocean cars, the buses, so that he, Mr. Boatin, will assist in buying it. Because if it becomes an ocean car, automatically the price will be down. He will assist. Up to now, that letter too, she have not even replied the letter up to date.
Kitidi, I think she needs to up her game. If
these
allegations are true.
Then she was with Minister for, he was the Deputy Minister for Gender.
And, yeah.
But now she is with ministries, Ministry of Fisheries. She couldn't help. We put all our trust and everything on her, but she's not.
Isaac, let me get a bit controversial. I mean, if your federations all stuck together, one thing that our politicians fear the most is that somebody say, I won't vote for you. And you have the numbers. I think maybe if we break the things, all the problems up maybe into maybe 6 categories, maybe make all access to schools disabled, rammed, or no vote. By the next day to be done, and then the next day, so that you have to blackmail them. Because my idea is that you vote for change.
Yes.
And if I vote and there will be no change, then I might as well go to sleep because nothing is going to happen. Yeah, and so maybe it's about time the heads of all the Civil Federation came together and said, look, we need to start threatening.
You are right. Over the years, we have tried to meet the political parties to let them understand our position. We've had discussion with them, and this year, even earlier this year, we met some of them again, the political parties, and we discussed the issue of actually a full and equal participation of persons with disability in society. Now, we are again appealing to the presidency to include 2 qualified persons with disability at the 30% appointment at each of the MMDAs, 216 MMDAs. Now, we know it used to be that the 30% appointees were technocrats, but that has changed. It's no longer that way. And we are not coming out as partisan people, we are trying to be part of the decision-making processes so that we will be able to act, to serve, and also to act as prompters so far as disability issues are concerned. For example, if a deaf person is there and they are thinking about assembly meeting, they will be thinking about sign language interpretation. If somebody on wheelchair is serving and they are thinking about meeting, they will be thinking about accessibility to the meeting hall. A visually person, they will be thinking about information in accessible format. You understand?
Yeah.
All these will come. And we have raised the issue, and the reason why we are asking for the inclusion of 2 people in the appointment is that we are not only sitting down asking for this, we are training our members and equipping them to understand the district local governors so that they will contest. But then we know the problem with person with disability contesting and winning election. 1, the environment is inaccessible to enable them to go around to sell their messages. 3, if a deaf person, you see communication problem, he or she will need a sign language interpreter throughout the campaign tour. Now, we also know about the stigmatization of persons with disability, name calling, and all kinds of things. Most of them who have tried, their disability was used as to campaign against them. And we are all witnesses of what happened to Honorable Dr. Henry Seydou Dana when he was nominated. Even people who should know, traditional authority who should know, and other people came out to oppose based on his disability. So this time around, we have done all these things, and we want to see the result. 2016 is election year. We are going to make our point, put our point on the table. The other listen to us, or the 20% of persons with disability will not vote.
And I'm sure
any party that will be willing to listen to us will vote for that one. And we are going to sensitize our people, make sure that we sell the message to them, and they will be ready. It's not for anybody. We are not, I would say we are apolitical. The organization is apolitical, but individually, we have our own inclination, political inclination. But all the same, what do we vote for? We vote for the change. The change doesn't come. Why do we have to vote for the same thing again? So we need to advise ourselves. That will be one of the things that we'll be doing.
Because I think the almighty word, and you've said it a few times, is implementation. Yes. So even though the laws in the book is not enough and we haven't expanded it enough, we haven't even done anything about implementation. And I know that our politicians are very paranoid when they hear, I won't vote for you. And that if you team up, and I'm sure you have, you have the numbers to shake them. And if you break the problems up and give it to them list by list and say, look, by year 1, by year 2, by year 3, I'm sure there will be nobody selling cars on the pavement, and all these things will be rectified immediately. But don't sympathize, just understand anybody who's a disabled person. And that's all time would allow us. Thank you very much.
Just give me 1 minute.
I'll give you to round up.
We call on the media, larger media. We are most grateful to Joy TV for giving us this opportunity to speak on the issue. We call on other media houses to only provide the platform and join the crusade for inclusion and effective participation of all persons with disability or in society at all levels. I also want to sort of acknowledge Danida. Danida has provided some support for the program we are holding on the 3rd. Sun Lodge Hotel too has also done that, giving us some support. And then David Walpart Limited, they've also supported the program that is coming on 3rd December. So, and we are most grateful to them.
I think so too. And I wanted you to leave your number. What if somebody wants to call to help more
Hope for Disabled Foundation?
Yeah, more Hope for Disabled Foundation. What number do they call?
0268405948.
Okay, that's your camera, the middle one. So tell them 02
0268405948. 405948.
So if there's anyone out there who wants to help, by all means, give them a call, find out exactly what they need, and then help them in that direction. So don't sit at home and just think that, they may need this. Ring them and find out, how do I help, as we have always done till today. And therefore, all our help goes to waste because we think we have helped, but that was not what was needed. Folks, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,